We are back again with BUILD617 on a mission to publicly explore the what ifs, the why nots, the what nows, and the how to's of making sure Boston is the best place for entrepreneurs to build and stay. Today's guest is Jason Kelly, founder and CEO of Ginkgo Bioworks. Founded in 2008, Ginkgo has employed thousands of brilliant people over its lifetime so far. It's raised nearly 800 million in private markets before going public in 2021. It's still public today and is headquartered in the Seaport. I asked Jason before we got started, like, how do you describe Ginkgo today? And he said, it's the autonomous lab. In the future, scientists and AIs are going to need to run experiments to further science, and they're going to go to a place like Ginkgo to say, run this experiment. I know it's a long journey getting there, but that's such an exciting future for me. We could talk about Ginkgo all day, but right now we want to spend most of our time talking about Boston. You've got an undergrad degree from MIT. Yep. You got a PhD there too. You founded a company here. Thousands of people employed. I follow you on X. You ooze Boston pride. So we're so happy to have you here. Jason, welcome to the BUILD617 pod.
Yeah, happy to be on. Thanks for having me, guys. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it was a decade of excellence, that's what my dad called my time at MIT. Yeah, it was just nonstop.
Well, the Boston tech ecosystem it's like really complex, right? I think everyone wants to prescribe some like one-shot solution, but it's a network of like entrepreneurs and investors and institutions and the public sector. They all interact in this weird way. And when I was trying to think about like, how do I think about how we describe this? It like reminded me of when I, read or first watched Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And
greatest movie of all time.
Yeah. Jeff Goldblum's character, Ian is always saying like, he's talking about complex systems and how like you change the inputs a little bit and you get dramatically different outputs. And I do think talking about the Boston tech ecosystem is kind of like that.
Yeah.
But we're still going to try to talk about like, what are the inputs we should change?
Sure.
So let's start with easy one. Why'd you start Ginkgo here? Why'd you stay?
Yeah. So, I mean, I started the company with 4 folks I went to grad school with. Yeah. We were all students together. And then an MIT professor was the 5th founder. And we were here. We were a little later in our lives, right? So we had done our PhDs at this point. So I guess we were, 28 or something. And then biotech is pretty, I would say, strongest in the country here in Boston. Yeah. And we were doing a biotech company. And so it was a very natural fit. Ironically, that didn't mean we could raise money from biotech venture capitalists or anything else, which I can talk about because we were coming straight out of school. So it wasn't like Boston was very supportive of us starting this company, but we did feel like it was a good place to be. Yeah.
So if you were starting fresh today, would you still choose to build here?
Yeah, definitely. For a biotech, I think it's still the strongest ecosystem for biotechnology, and I would actually extend that to a lot of deep tech. Yeah. I think for robotics and for alternate, battery tech, energy tech. I actually think Boston is a stronger ecosystem than anywhere else in the country, personally. I can talk about why there's an issue of why we're not seeing this happening, but I do think it is the strongest place from a standpoint of talent and also culture of the employees.
So we're definitely somewhat biased, but having, been working in tech companies, curious to get
You're fucked in tech. Yeah,
everyone does. What's the opposite of deep tech? Yeah, I don't like calling myself surface tech. That doesn't feel good.
So I actually don't even like. I usually call it real tech, but that's a little more for us, and that's a little more offensive to the tech industry. So I call it deep tech now. But yes, we're not a software company. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
but
lab robotics.
It's like okay, so Boston is this great ecosystem for deep tech, for biotech, but then you mentioned maybe not having the level of support.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So it's like reconcile that for me. Is it it's just the talent base?
I'll give you the quick Ginkgo story, right? For folks that might be in my similar shoes to where we were back in 2008. So we graduate from our PhDs. We did the MIT 50K competition. We did not even we didn't even get out of the first round in that competition, by the way. And so then we formed the company and started like talking to venture capitalists and very quickly apparent that we're not going to be able to raise money. So it was 2008, number one.
Okay, tough time.
Tough times, financial crisis. We were not trying to make a therapeutic drug, which is really what the biotech venture capital ecosystem here is all about. We wanted to be like a platform tech company and robotics and all this stuff. And then third, we were children, right? Like we were straight out of school, young founders, which is cool in software, but actually not cool in biotech. Okay. And so, and I think that's probably generally true across deep tech. And so anyway, so we said, all right, that's fine. We applied for a bunch of grants, like government grants, actually. So DARPA, NSF, SBIRs, ARPA-A, or it wasn't ARPA-H, ARPA-E, probably like $5 million over a 4 or 5 year period. And then summer 2014, Sam Altman, Mr. Famous now, takes over as president of YC, and he puts up a blog post, and he's basically like, I think the YC model can apply to more than just software companies. I want to see nuclear energy companies. I want to see biotech companies. I want to see materials companies. And so I wrote him an email. I was like, man, thanks for this blog post, because it's like Oasis in the desert, right? And I'm like, we've been around for 5 years. Like, I got 15, 20 people in this lab in Boston. We don't make sense as a YC company, but it's just, it's just refreshing because no one is ever talking about this stuff. The tech people won't invest in us because we're not software, and the biotech people, okay. And so he's like, no, you got to come meet me. So I flew out and met Sam. I was like, love at first sight. Like, fucking YC is amazing. And so we decided to do it, and we were the first biotech to do YC. So even though I was in Boston, my whole like fundraising training and mental model is very San Francisco.
Got it.
And so that has made it very clear to me. We didn't raise like $1 in Boston. I mean, I raised $2 billion over the life of this company, right? Yeah. And not, I think here and there, I don't know, Pac Lucas or somebody. There's like here and there little bits, but like no funds, no nothing. All my money was New York and California.
Yeah. Wow. Kind of disappointing, I'm sure.
Yeah, but here's what thing. I actually don't think it's disappointing. Let me tell you a little secret about money. It travels very easily.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't believe it. Like, it can just move across the whole country instantaneously.
Yeah, just from one chain to another.
You don't need it to be here.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't need to go get it with a truck. All right. So why the hell do Boston founders keep trying to raise money in Boston?
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing in the world. Just go raise in California, right? So if you're doing seed, you should raise money in California.
Yeah.
That's where the money is. And if you're doing growth, go to New York. And now California. Back in my time, there was less of this, but now there's a ton of growth in California too. But like, why the hell did you raise here?
Yeah.
Huge mistake.
But I think
never. Like, don't waste your time.
Well, one thing I at least get all the time is like, okay, go raise in California, but then it's like, oh, well, we want you to stay in California because we have 50 AI events a day.
Yeah, big deal. That's your choice. That's still your decision as a founder where you want to put the company.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's true. But I do think, like, especially first-time founder, you're young in your career. Like, there's this like feeling each other out that happens really quickly over one conversation in San Francisco. And like, that's a question that, but you often get asked before you get the term sheet. And maybe if you have the like maturity and poise, you're like, F you, like, I'm staying in Boston, and they'll actually respect that. Yep. But I do think there's a temptation as a young founder to be like, yeah, I'll come out here. Like,
Well, by the way, like, I bet, I mean, we did a total like clown car seed round out of YC. Like, I had 60 names on the cap table.
Yeah.
Or and like, it was never been, it's like, if you're weird, God bless all the AI companies, right? Like, but if you're like a weirdo, if you're doing something weird or different, deep tech, and that doesn't make sense, fundraising is always harder, right? So I could have a whole separate tome of advice for raising money if you're a weird company. But so we had like a ton of people on the cap table, because YC is great. That demo day, meet all these angels. I bet half of them thought we were based in California. Right? Because you're meeting people, you're in YC.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the difference? What? They don't really care. Like, no one actually cares where the company is based.
Yeah. Do you think?
Right. And by the way, lots of real advantages, right? Like, talent in California moves constantly. Like, people are staying in a company for 2 years, right? People stay at Ginkgo for a decade, right? Yep. It's just, there's a lot of cultural advantages to Boston. It's just, don't ever raise money here.
Yeah.
Do not. Huge mistake.
Investors, don't worry. I appreciate you.
This is a venture fund.
Here we go.
It's a nice podcast.
What is that? So, okay. So, and then like in the software world, real tech, as you said, not what I said, real tech.
No, we're real tech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we're unreal
We're
tech.
not real tech.
I feel like you're unreal
the
tech.
Real
we're
world.
not.
Okay. Atoms.
But like, moving atoms versus bits.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everyone right now, at least in software, obviously is just like running around with their heads, on fire of like, we have to be an AI company or we don't have to be an AI company. In like the deep tech, biotech, like how much, obviously there's got to be some influence. So like these LLMs are incredibly powerful. Yeah. There have to be applications, but like, how does it fit in right now? I'm curious.
A few places. There's basically 2 big tracks if you want to nerd on bio
video,
for a
lots
minute.
Of video?
No. Zero video. But there's one track which is, if you think about what you're doing in bioengineering, you are programming in a coded language.
Sure.
The language is just DNA.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And so partially there is, how do I design the DNA that makes a cell do the thing I want it to do? Mm-hmm. And that could range from, I want it to be a CAR T immunotherapy to treat your cancer to I want it to be a corn plant that produces its own fertilizer, like whatever. There's a myriad applications. And in each case, just like writing a software program, you want to write a DNA program that does the job.
Yep.
So one line of AI is, can the AI help me write that DNA code? Just like it's helping, Claude code or whatever, you help you write your nerd code. Okay, and so that's like one branch. And then the other branch is, and by the way, those models are not trained on human language. They're trained on genomes.
Specifically genomes.
Yeah, genomes. Like AlphaFold was like the famous thing from Google. They're trained on biological data.
Yeah.
All right, so then there's the other half is the reasoning models.
Yeah.
And hey, a lot of doing science, turns out, is reasoning, right? And so this is where we've been making a big bet, which is, can the reasoning models improve the ability for scientists to basically engage with robotics, design their experiments? And so can you piggyback on the reasoning models to start to break through on the laboratory automation side and things like that? And a lot of people are playing, like physical AI, Lockheed's company and stuff. Like there's a lot of people trying to say, hey, the AI reasoning is going to help robotics break through into more areas, and we're all going to go behind Waymo, which was the first one to really break into the physical world with AI. Well, we want to break it in the lab. All these other companies want to break it into manufacturing, wherever else. Like we're part of that train, but that is relevant for bio just as much as the design models. But those are the two lines of AI work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Actually, I wish I could just geek out for like the next hour and a half on it. Maybe
but we're here to talk about
maybe that's a beer later.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a broad topic, and you feel like the type of guest that can just take it where it probably needs to go.
Sure.
One of the big criticisms I see of both Boston founders, Boston VCs, broadly Boston, is like a lack of ambition.
Yeah.
Agree? Disagree?
I mean, I don't agree for myself. And Ginkgo, we've always been like, freakishly too ambitious or something. It's persistently believe. So like our persistent belief is you can have a platform tech company in biotech, which like to tech people is like, what the fuck are you talking about? All the great companies are platform tech companies, Windows and AWS and NVIDIA. Like, I get it. Everything's horizontal. You know, nothing in biotech is like that. Everything is totally vertical. It's like all unique tech stacks under pharma companies, basically all developing their own apps. And so we've had this like Don Quixote quest to make a horizontal platform for 15 years now. So that is a level of ambition. Yeah. I think we're one of the most ambitious from just a pure sort of like technology dream. I want to make a Google thing. But we had that ambition on the technical side coming out of MIT. Mm-hmm. So I do think at a technical level at the schools here in general, like we are absolutely saying go for pushing the envelope of human knowledge. And we were like this era of synthetic biology, programming DNA, like big dreams. Like you get that. And then the next bit is though, are you able to dream big on the business side? Yeah. Right. And this is where I think Y Combinator is a very powerful tool. Mm-hmm. So Y Combinator is very much teaching it's a business school for entrepreneurs, basically. And it's teaching them, look, what you should be trying to build is a Google. Yeah. Right. An Intel or whatever. I'm dating myself. Pick your era. Right. And like a generational company. Or nothing, right? Like, what's the point of trying for something less? Like, it's all tail outcomes, right? And all these things. And so that, we don't get that culturally in the startup ecosystem here. Yeah. So, for example, in biotech, again, we're freaks, but the average biotech around here is basically a drug developer with a hope to get acquired by Merck. Yeah. So what you do is you start, the company. In fact, you rarely start it yourself. Like almost nothing is where again, not founder led. Like they're spin out of venture funds or whatever, and the venture fund owns 90%. The entrepreneur owns nothing. You hire a team. You get to a certain point, and then you try to sell the asset for $3 billion. When it gets to phase, good phase 2 result, good phase 3, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And that's that, and then. Everybody cheers. Yeah, big win, right? But nobody's built a $400 billion company. Right? It just never happens. And so that in part because it hasn't happened, right? You don't have the pattern matching. Yeah. Right? Like why is Silicon Valley tech like it is? Thank Bill fucking Gates. Right? Like you had this example. Yeah. Right. He wasn't even in Silicon Valley, but in that industry of just how you did it, right?
And
then they just say, okay, I could see that, I could be that guy, and right, like YC's really good about that too. They do those Tuesday night dinners, and they bring people in. I mean, the YC program is actually quite simple, by the way.
Yeah,
like everyone always tries elaborate stuff and these stupid classes that teach entrepreneurship's nonsense. Like what YC is as a program is every Tuesday night they bring in people to talk to the batch, and it's like someone famous, and that's powerful in the same way that like Harvard bringing in a senator to see the undergrads is. It humanizes this person. You're like, wow, maybe I could be John Kerry. He's actually that smart or something, right? Like there's this sense that they're actually a person, right? So like I think Zuck came in our batch back in 2014, right? And I was like, oh, wow, cool, right? But it's like, you ask them questions off the record as a normal person. And so that's one thing they do is that ambition bit gets set. And then the second thing they do is like at the very first meeting, they're like, okay, in 12 weeks, or I think it's 12-year program, 12 weeks, we're going to have demo day. And you're going to get on stage and there's going to be 500 VCs in the audience. We're going to be able to say, because of YC's reputation, like, look, 80 companies are going to get on stage. And, historically, 2 of them are going to be, it's probably better our stats now, but 2 of them are going to be worth more than $1 billion 5 years from now. So just pick the right 2, right? Like, and so there's this dynamic where like, you're going to have this high leverage opportunity on stage 12 weeks from now. So why are you even sitting here listening to me right now? Like, why aren't you like working your face off to improve your company so you get the most out of that moment? And so that creates like the second bit after ambition, which is tempo. It's like you should be fucking moving fast, right? And that's it. Like that, to me, that's the 2 things that is embedded in the Silicon Valley ecosystem and entrepreneur culture is like max ambition, max speed.
Yeah,
that's it. It's fucking it. It's not more than that, right? Like, all this other nonsense. It's like you make a business plan. It's like absurdities that you might still learn, but that's the game. And so we got that, even though we were in Boston, because we went to Y Combinator.
Yeah. And I hear like everyone, this is like, I think everyone's favorite retort when I'm like, with someone like Nathan or me is like, well, what should we be doing differently in Boston like Silicon Valley? A lot of people's their shields go up and they're like, Boston shouldn't try to be Silicon Valley, which there's some dimensions. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But like those 2 you just mentioned, ambition and tempo,
why not?
Like we should just copy.
No,
we should just like figure out how. It's actually 100%. Cultural. It's difficult.
Yeah.
It had been a little bit.
I do think some things are strong suits and not. So if you want me to be a little controversial, so I put up, there was like some, Twitter debate or whatever over the holidays that I waded into because some guy, Will Mandis or whatever up in New York. So there's all this stuff going on with like New York and San Francisco politicians, the wealth taxes, Mamdani. And they were all, and there was like this, it was like, well, we don't want to turn out like Boston. Look what those liberals did or something, right? And it was like, that's not the story of why it's like, that has nothing to do with it, right?
It's like strays.
It's just like exactly. It's a total red herring. And I'm like, no, that's not it. Like, it was like acting like back in 2000, it was like Boston or San Francisco were the 2 places you would start a software company, and then San Francisco won because of our politics. Back in 2000, by the way, I graduated MIT in 2003. Boston was still, at that point, not a place to start a software company. It was Seattle and San Francisco. And that's because we kind of lost software a whole generation earlier in the mini computer era. So we had DEC and Wang, which were like computers the size of refrigerators out here in like Route 128 and that whole area. And then very famously, personal computers came online in California. And this ecosystem never put forward a personal computer competitor that played in the game. And so then the center of gravity moved to California. And so, and after that happened, that reinforcement loop has made it really hard for this area to compete. Now, and God bless Microsoft, they went to Seattle and Amazon went to Seattle. So Seattle became the other center, but like we just didn't have it, right? Now, maybe we had a giant software, but there's something that's to be said there. But so I actually think it's harder, no offense, in software to compete with the ecosystem in San Francisco. But at the same time, I don't know if you've followed our richest man on the planet. He's made his money outside of software.
True.
Now hasn't he? Right. So what did he build? He built a fucking electric car company and a rocket company. Right. Like absurd.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's the kind of stuff. You know where he did not make those companies?
Yeah.
San Francisco. Not in because it's a world of software.
Yep.
Like San Francisco's not tolerant of rockets blowing up and right? Like this is he had to go elsewhere, right? And so that I think that sort of deep tech, like these other areas, I actually think are a good fit for Boston. And so, and I think that what we're missing is someone like Elon, who was Silicon Valley programmed because of PayPal to be max ambition, max tempo.
Yeah.
And he just brought it to the hard tech arena, and he fucking made out like a bandit. And so why aren't we bringing that attitude into a lot of these other areas where Boston has like intrinsic, like the thing that's making me crazy right now, so I'll end my rant, is the robotic stuff.
Yeah, keep it going.
Right? Like, so if you have been on the internet over the last 10 years, every like dystopian, scary humanoid robot video was from a company called Boston Dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay, so how are we not crushing the robotics thing here?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, that is like our birthright at this point. Now that it's finally coming online with AI, that should all be happening here.
Yeah.
Okay. And so like that's a miss. You know, defense.
Yep.
We're Raytheon, like we're actually a big defense state. We do have there's really people know how to blow shit up in Massachusetts, right? like that. Like we should be leading in defense tech. And there I think we have all the seeds, and the main thing we're missing is the culture, the entrepreneurial culture to do, like, again, the Anduril guys are Silicon Valley pilled. Yeah. Right? Fucking Palmer, like the guy was making VR headsets. Dude, like he didn't know shit about defense. Okay, right? Like so all he had going for him was the ambition and tempo thing. Like he was programmed correctly as an entrepreneur, and then he just waded into a market where it's like, okay, well, who am I competing with? I'm competing with the sleepiest, oldest companies in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, shit, they mop up, right? And so there's a thing, I think so I wish we could like flip that entrepreneurial culture bit locally, and then also not let ourselves get held. Remember, where did Elon raise his money? Where did Palmer raise his money? Fucking Silicon Valley. Yeah. Okay, right? So like that's where we should also raise our money.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think you do those things and we could just march through a whole bunch of other areas. And I bet there's pieces of software that we could carve off too, right? AI could have happened here.
Could have.
It's hard tech.
Yep.
Sam had a bunch of PhDs working there.
Yeah.
There's a PhD. That was very hard techy, right? Yeah. So that didn't have to happen out there. Anyway, okay, rant over.
No, I mean, it really resonates. I mean, like my first job at MIT was working on F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. Sounds sick. Was really cool. But I left within 14 months. And I think if, I'm trying to diagnose it now, 15 years later, it's like, it's the tempo. Like it was so slow. Unfortunately, we all probably, if you look up at those contracts, it's like classic government bloated.
It's better to be slow.
But like, we could have went. Now you see, now rockets are all the rage. I should have stayed in the industry maybe. So
does that make sense? Like that's my view is we actually there's a bunch of advantages here in some of these other areas. And it used to just be like, well, none of those areas make money. It's all in software. But I think Elon's proved that wrong, as has defense tech over the last 5-10 years. And now actually a lot of the money, like the California money, the Silicon Valley money, is looking for more things like that.
Right.
Because they're pattern matching. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Look at like that's where that's where the money is.
Rockets can make money.
Yeah. It turns out you do these things and you have like a moat the size of the Pacific Ocean on the other side of it. I mean, there won't be another space company. Elon's it's a monopoly.
Yeah. How much do you attribute that? Like, okay, so I buy the tempo and ambition as the two pillars. I probably need more than two pillars to hold something up, but two pillars. How much of that was like innate in Silicon Valley that then was like formalized through YC and then some of the surrounding VCs? Or like how much of that was like a YC thing that really figured it out?
No, I think it's innate in Silicon Valley. I think YC was marking what they learned with the internet. Yeah,
a way to teach the new ones.
Yeah, I think Paul Graham with his essays and stuff was like just locking. He was sort of spreading Silicon Valley culture out broadly as like this is correct entrepreneur culture.
Yeah,
which it is.
Yeah, how do you think we get it here? Other than just awesome entrepreneurs going for it and like taking their shots.
I think we should get it. We should bring back YC Cambridge.
Yeah,
and it should be focused on other things. Maybe like AI stuff. I think is a good one. I mean, how like it was like something like 15 out of the top 50 AI companies were MIT
Or
founders. Yeah, everybody here, Harvard founders. Everybody's here.
Yeah,
everybody's here.
They're all here at one point.
Yeah, go get them before someone else gets them.
For sure.
Right? Yeah. Like, that's a time-worn strategy in seed investing. Yep. Right? Like whoever gets there first, you know, right? Like you get that worm. So like, people should be here hunting these students.
Yeah.
Right. And so YC's, I would love to see YC do it. And by the way, you just fly back for demo day. But if it wasn't YC, someone else should start that. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the program, which you run just like YC, you charter a jet. Everybody gets on the jet, fly to California, and we do demo day in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would work.
I don't work in a second. I don't understand why it doesn't. Why it hasn't happened. Like it feels like you're saying, like everyone's like, oh, wait, spaceships can make money. We should invest in things like spaceships. It feels like it's pretty obvious that like YC was a good model. And yet some people maybe have tried to copy it in some ways, but like I haven't seen anyone really deploy the capital necessary because there's some upfront costs, but you have to believe it's going to work. Yeah. You know, especially with like long time frame, return on capital. Like it feels weird that no one's given it a shot. I don't know, like
people there has been, I mean, the Techstars and there's like a few like incubators that have like given it a run. I think part of it is like the tail distribution thing. Yeah. So if YC is like actually grabbing all the cream, then there's not as much to go around. It's hard to run an incubator. So you have to really have people committed to doing it. Yeah. And then do your demo day in California. Yeah. Right? Like I think people actually didn't realize that. Yeah. Like I think that's actually a non-intuitive thing. Yeah, like if you had a program and you had all the companies in New York, I'd still do your demo day in California. Yeah. And it's not like New York's not loaded, but like rich people in New York don't brag about the startups they invested in at their dinner parties. They brag about their art collection. Right. So there's just the culture. It's like that seed money culture. Yeah. Like what do you collect in an SF? They collect startup investments. I had that founder. I had that person. I knew even if they didn't, but they can which is great for America. It's obviously great for San Francisco, but like I said, money travels easily. So like everyone in the country should be taking advantage of that. Yeah. That includes not just Massachusetts, people in Texas, which by the way, look, I'm sure all the Texas people are raising money in Silicon Valley. Like, it's like they go, all the Austin people are raising money in Austin. I'm serious. Yeah. Like, it's almost like got that oil money. Like we have like a weird overhang because we kind of have a historical venture ecosystem here that makes it feel like you should just raise here. But that ecosystem is largely geared towards, at this point, therapeutics. Mm-hmm. And then like there's kind of like vestiges. No offense to the crew, but it's just I'm speaking to the entrepreneurs. That's my. So advice. if I'm like a founder, young founder, I'm about to like I've got something. I've got something I think is worth raising around. I'm gonna go to California. Like how do I actually like set that up? Right? Like how tight do I run my process? Like I don't want to outbound people because that makes me look weak. I want to be introed, but like it's a lot of logistics to that. Yeah. If you were doing that, or if you knew a 22-year-old and you were going to give them the 3 minutes of advice, like how do they pull that off? Yeah. I mean, so again, I think you need to like have a reason you want to be here. So there's probably some sense of like why that is, right? And so you're like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing it here. I have these advantages. And then I think you just are going to just go out for 3 or 4 weeks. Right, I think it's like a real commitment. Yeah, you need to find a place to stay, and then do even in California, how do you get the intros to the VCs? You gotta ask the entrepreneur that who's kind of did well with whatever, and then they introduce this that. There's a whole game of just like getting your connections. It's that same game in California. Just play it from here and do all your meetings in person. Mm-hmm. I think that I don't see why that's a problem. Should be fine. Yeah. A lot of energy recently in Boston to have a better Boston. I think it's still work in progress. Yeah. Some of that includes like academic institutions like the ones we went to, or the state, or people, involved in government. Like what is the role, if any, for them? Or is this really, it's got to be grassroots? Like how do you think about it? I mean, it's a good question. So like for the schools in the state and the city. Well, they want to help, right? But like it's the opposite of tempo, right? Like it's the opposite of tempo. And so that doesn't, I think you could do a few things. So I think regulatorily, for example, in the city, let's say we picked an area of Boston and said, no human driven cars in this area. Human driven cars are banned. Yeah. Because by the way, one of my other pitches on Boston, I don't know how old you guys are, but do you have kids yet? I do. You do have kids. Okay. I do. Okay, Boston's the most family-friendly city in America.
100%.
For urban city.
Yeah.
Okay? You cannot name one that's an urban city that's more friendly. The suburbs, fine.
Yeah,
sure.
I live in Cambridge, so
yeah, exactly.
I'm right.
You get it. Yeah, you're here.
It's crazy.
It's freaking awesome.
You don't, I went to school there, you walk around, didn't even realize there was a single park. You have a child, and you're like, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm
parks are everywhere.
Parks.
The culture's all about education. You can walk the whole city. It's safe as hell. Like it is an absolutely fabulous city to have kids in. New York is not. Yeah. San Francisco is not. Okay, right? Like we're not going to be cooler than New York. Are you fucking kidding me? Everyone's like, make the bars open earlier or later or whatever. I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want that noise. Right? Like it's better. Like we are set up for family friendly, right? And so that, to me, actually, again, depending on the company, right? Okay, everyone's 22 is a little different. But like, certainly in my arena, a lot of people are doing PhDs. Early AI companies all look like this too. A lot of older people. Like that can fit in certain markets. It's like not the end of the world. Okay. But regulatorily,
but with the cars,
I'm saying, so what I'm saying is, why not, if you were like a forward-leaning mayor or governor who wanted to start to create demand for startups of a certain variety, you could, I think the biggest thing you could do is not money, it's not whatever, all private sector is going to do all that better. It's regulation.
Yeah.
And so you could say, like I said, this part of the city, in an effort to be more family friendly, is not allowed to have human driven cars because autonomous cars are safer. And so my kids could play in the street if there weren't human driven cars.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that is I think would be like a really cool thing to try, for example. And then suddenly you would have a pull for autonomous vehicles.
Yeah, robotaxis are coming.
Yeah, these are different. Now, now there's no human-driven cars. Well, maybe we could have our little bubble things, or like the weird ones that people want to play around with. What about the deliveries? How are we going to get those in? You could be this experimental playground for that stuff, and I think would fit into a vision of like Boston as a city for the future. Yeah. And then I think there's a lens on that though that's cool, which is not the weird like dystopian, like whatever, like put me in my VR headset future, but like the future that's great for kids. Yeah. Okay. Like we're the city of the future that kids are excited about, like Futurama, Disneyland. Right. Like we are like it's that kind of stuff, and so we're gonna so like then like how about education? Yeah. Education's a strong suit for us.
Yep.
Great. How about we have AI tutors for every student in Boston public schools? That'd be cool. Totally in control of the city to do that. Okay. So and then suddenly how hard? Like shouldn't it be trivial for Boston to be the center of AI in education industry?
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah. Fucking trivial. Total fit. Fit. So those are things I think you could see, a city, a mayor or a governor do. Yeah. Right? Those types of things to create pull and like almost like a center of excellence around a thing. And by the way, I'll give you the history of biotech.
Yeah.
Why is biotech here? So actually, genetic engineering got invented at UCSF. Okay, 1978, first gene was moved from one species to another. We take a, E. coli bacterial, we take a human gene and put it in an E. coli bacterial gene. And then the first product from Genentech was like a human insulin gene moved. That whole thing happened 78 to 83, South San Francisco, Genentech, UCSF. Lots of smart molecular biologists actually in a lot of places, certainly some here at Harvard, great ones, and MIT. But the real thing that happened was the Cambridge city had a whole it's an amazing old video of like the Cambridge City Council, and like it's almost like people with pitchforks, because this was like genetic engineering was like the AI of its time. It was scary, right? Like we're going to move a gene from a what to a what, right? Now this has now cured, a bunch of cancers and all these things that meant almost universal good. But like back then, who knows, right? And so it was like, how are we going to regulate it? And there was yelling. And what happened was they did that, it went through, and then the Cambridge City Council was the first city in the world to regulate genetic engineering. And they allowed it with certain regulations. And so as a result, there was regulatory certainty for biotech companies. And so like Biogen, which is like a relatively famous company, was really like European. It was like European half the founders. Oh, wow. And they had to they moved it to Boston because Europe had, the regs were still unknown on genetic engineering. They're like, we might get like run out of town if we start here. But we know if we move to Cambridge, the regs are locked. We know what they are. We know the rules.
This is like the first pro-regulation argument I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Which is great. No,
but that's why, the clarity. That's why we have biotech. Is because we were the first ones to figure out how to be the grown-ups and regulate it. And so, like, why don't we the first ones to figure out how to have human-free driving zones? That would be a good one. Why aren't we the first ones to figure out really like a large public school system that incorporates AI directly as as personal tutors and everything else? Like, why aren't we the first ones to make those hard choices and introduce technology into our lives in a careful way?
Yeah,
because that's, I think, another thing people trust Boston with, like to take care with things, right? Like, this is the kind of the flip of like the pure ambition and speed argument is you all are careless.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that 100% move fast, break things is the motto of Silicon Valley, and that's like that doesn't work.
Not with my children.
Exactly. 100%. And so I think there is there's some magic to that.
Yeah.
And we do have the sort of politicians that are sort of pragmatic as much as Will or somebody wants to make up and say they're not. They are, right? We've had a ton of Republican governors here. Romney Care became Obamacare, right? Like we had like this is classic Massachusetts stuff. So I'd love to see the government come into the sort of tech arena and make those types of regulatory moves again, which is what got us biotech. I don't see why it couldn't get us some of these other things. Robotics. Yeah, it should be. Well, how do we I don't think you're allowed. I'm sure you couldn't have humanoids just running around the city right now. There's got to be some regs.
I think so. Yeah, right. Like only if you're a grocery store can you have a robot running up and down
on wheels or something. Yeah. So like unleash all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how do we unleash robotics regulation in Boston?
Yeah.
So that it's just like we're crawling with robots.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? That'd be so cool. We have Gecko Robotics here, right? Like there's a bunch of Pickle. There's all these really cool robotics companies. Like let it go. Like let's go. And kids, I'm telling you, how much would your kids love to see robots all over the place?
That's exactly
fucking love it. I know.
Like Boston Science Museum is one of the coolest places in the world.
Yeah.
And my 5-year-old is like, since she's 2, first thing you do when you walk in is like, there's Spot.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, oh, Spot's a couple generations ago. Like, I wish you could see the new stuff.
Yeah, right? 100%.
Right? But it's like a tradition. You go to the Museum of Science and you're like, Spot right there.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Anyway, that's my pitch for the government folks listening. The schools is a different one.
That was tough, but
I don't know what the schools should do. I mean, I think there's a little risk. It's like Stanford's becoming too startup-y. Right? Like you don't go to school
to drop out.
School, like MIT and Stanford are not startup incubators.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Like that's actually a miss. That's a miss in my opinion. They're more than that. I mean, I love YC. YC is like a Stanford. Or a Harvard. It is like truly, right? That's why I think there should be probably a few more of them that have different flavors. Just like we have MIT, we have Harvard, we have Stanford. They're like different culturally, but they're all obviously elite universities. We should have other elite incubators for starting companies, but our schools should not become those things.
Yeah, 4-year degrees here to stay.
Yeah, of course. I'm not like there's a good what's that bozo? It's the
Which
Greek
one?
guy. He's like Anti-Fragile, that book.
Okay.
Do you know this guy? Anyway, he's on whatever. He's just like a curmudgeon finance guy. But it's an interesting book it's called Anti-Fragile. And like roughly the argument is like if you want to know what's a really good book, for example, don't look at like what's the best ranked book in the last year. Look for a book that's highly rated, that's more than 20 years old.
Because it stood the test.
It stood the test of fucking time, right? Like like you never like anything. Anybody can convince anybody of anything over the last 3 months, right? Like maybe it's the Clawbot or whatever, right? Like we're all in our Molt mill or whatever it is today.
OpenClaw. We got a third and second rebrand.
Yeah. Like I get it, and like I love all that stuff, but like But these institutions, our great universities, our religions, these things that are just what do you think? You really think they're going away? No, obviously not. And so, because they are providing, in my view, a bundle of things. It's not just your education. If you wanted your education, MIT put up MIT Open Courseware back when I was there. It's like 25, you could download every MIT course. Oh, you're an MIT student? No. Okay, because you're going to meet the people there, but my wife at MIT, right? Like it's like a dating app. It's a friend thing. All my friends are from, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like replace that with what? like sitting in your room talking to ChatGPT. It doesn't make sense, right? So these are like they're like a fundamental human thing that's really important, and we're blessed here to have, and not just MIT and Harvard, but just a bevy of fabulous schools, right? And so we do have that. We have that engine. So the question is, how do you connect to that, right? Like how, and I think that sort of like pulling people out to become entrepreneurs, I think is good. I don't have a problem with that. I just don't want the school to say like, hey, that's like what we're about.
Like the school shouldn't be.
The school should not be the
mission.
Right. It should be it should be, it's an admissions department. That's actually one of the most important things it does. It's all the bundle of awesome services it provides these people so that they're so thrilled that they went. And then if someone needs to leave early because they're so excited and it's the moment for their thing, you're Bill Gates and sophomore year or whatever, you go. Right. But if not, you don't. And then, by the way, for some people, it's go on and do higher education, PhD or something, and then jump, because in some of these hard tech fields, that's where the action is.
Yeah.
Right. Like that was another weird dynamic. This is another thing I think Silicon Valley is a little weird about. It's like when I would tell people at YC I had a PhD, it was almost like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Yeah. Right. Like, it's like, if you had any ambition, you wouldn't have wasted 5 years of life. And I'm like, guys, I was like genetic engineering pilled at 13 by Jurassic Park. The only place to program DNA with anybody with any crazy ambitions back in 2003 when I graduated was the MIT bio. It wasn't even the bio. They didn't even have a bioengineering department then. But it was like just getting going. Yeah. And with like Drew Endy, my boss, and this guy Tom Knight that we started the company with, like that. That was the only place in the world I could be. Yeah. There wasn't some startup I could go to. Yeah. And so that's true for a lot of like advanced tech today. That would have been, by the way, that's what was true for AI 10 years ago. Where were all the best people? They're all in these freaking labs. All the DeepMind people were in the same lab. It's like, I'm sorry. If you were ambitious and you wanted to really do AI, there wasn't a startup for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And so that is another pool of founders I'd love to see get tapped. Yep. Which is the PhD students also who are in these areas where they are actually foregoing more money in other things because they're so obsessed with their technological niche, and it's the only place in the world they can do it. What an amazing founder pool that is.
Yeah.
Totally untapped. It's like, it's in the same way YC found the undergrad founder pool and Paul Graham's genius to go pull those people off. There's another YC to be made to tap that PhD pool, and Silicon Valley, I don't think it will do it because they're just sort of like,
and there's some
like we can do that, these are like cool ideas. I mean, I think we could do that kind of stuff, right?
PhD students.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of magic with like the OpenAI case because you're getting the researchers, the hardcore, all of that. Yeah, but they're getting Elon early. Obviously, there's drama. Elon early, Sam after. Yeah. They're getting that same like ambition tempo that you spoke of earlier.
Sure enough,
it's a little bit of that mixture.
Yep, I would agree with that. Yes,
I'm curious on the tempo piece. Like, do you think there's anything we can do culturally here to kind of be like, hey guys, like pick it up?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm on two sides of it. I think it's I don't know, because it does take long. I mean, some of these things. I mean, like, although I think it isn't like total time. It is like kind of like intensity integrated over time or something. Because it's not like, I mean, SpaceX took forever. Right. Tesla took forever, but they were always.
But it's just a grind.
It's just a grind of high tempo, right? And I think that's it. Yep. Like it does need to feel like that. I don't know. I think it starts with the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Because if the entrepreneur, it's like really the culture is set at the level of the senior leadership's approach to things. Right. And so,
Yeah. Well, I think,
so you gotta get them programmed correctly.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I think then I think you would get it. I don't think you need it necessarily in the water as much.
Like I think I haven't done YC, but like I felt that transition like when I went from high school to MIT. Right? Yeah. Like you're like small fish.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Like you were so smart or whatever, but it doesn't matter except for those like 5% you knew those people too. Or maybe you're one of them, but I wasn't. And you're like, whoa, there's levels to this game. And then, you graduate and then you go into the workforce and you're like, actually, I am smart again. And I imagine that same feeling, like once you've got that tempo and ambition locked in, like it's the same reason those people don't want to go back and work at big tech, or like wherever it might be.
Well, I think
I can't go back.
You're right. Yeah. There is a thing. I don't know how to teach people this, but we did have this experience. Now I'm remembering. It's like, I'm like dusting it off. But at the very beginning of Ginkgo, I mean, we really were not. we were just coming out of PhD program and I was reading, there's a blog called Venture Hacks back in the day that like, was it Balaji that did it? It was like one of those guys.
Hosted on Angel Fire.
Angel List. It was like in the Angel, this is like all like back in the sands of time. But and I would like mainlining these blog posts. But we were also like getting advice from the venture center at MIT. And it was like, we would get like anti-advice in the local ecosystem. Like I would read a thing on Venture Hacks and it was the opposite of what I was being told.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, everyone's being lied to. Like they're just like, because all these people were really sort of like venture fund adjacent. And this was an era where entrepreneurs weren't really as smart yet about like the game between them. Yeah, the VC's your friend, but they're not, so like so this was just like, they were like unlock Paul Graham and these Venture Hacks guys, they were kind of sharing the reality, right? Like the game to the entrepreneurs. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, all these people are just like bamboozling me.
I'm getting got right
now. 100%. Yeah. And so that is the cultural layer I think you got to watch out for if you don't have other entrepreneurs around you who are like appropriately like Silicon Valley pilled on how to build a company. And so that, I do think we don't have quite enough of that.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that's come up in kind of the tempo side of the world is like mafias. So successful companies kind of like
absolutely.
How do you think, I guess even first, like, do you think there's like a Ginkgo mafia? Like
there's a bunch of people like who have left the company and are like starting new companies and things like that. But we're not like, we're not Google, right? Like we haven't been successful enough. I think show's not over and I'm not dead, right? And so the day could still come, but we haven't had, myself included, like these blast off, like maybe the HubSpot guys, but again, it's okay, right? Like compared to Silicon Valley.
They're not Google.
They're not, right? And so we haven't had quite that same ecosystem or that little thing cycling yet, but it only like literally takes one company.
Yeah.
Right. And so I do think we just need to start a bunch that are programmed with that level of ambition and tempo, and one of them will yield. Yeah. Right. Like that's just like it just happens.
How do you think about like, sometimes like VC or like, just being an entrepreneur venture, like sometimes it feels zero sum, which it probably shouldn't. But like, you think about this, like I'm curious around like what you see in the Silicon Valley culture of like, everyone around you is kind of competing against you. They're competing for dollars. They're competing for attention. Some of them are competing directly for customers. But at the same time, there's like, maybe you want them to win because like rising tide rises all boats. And like, I think, over the past few months as I've gotten more engaged in the Boston tech scene, I'm like cheering for Suno. Yeah, I want Suno to be huge. I want it to be the biggest thing because that's like, I've now maybe matured, right? To the point like, that's really good for me. They'll hire a bunch of people. They'll bring people here. That's good for me too.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's like, do you see that? You see that an issue, non-issue? Like,
non-issue. I don't think people are. I think it's good vibes enough in Silicon Valley. Yeah. I think the bigger thing you get is just people job hop a lot.
Yeah.
So that's a little different. It's harder to like
just maybe good for the ecosystem because you get all the sharing.
A little bit. I don't think so. I think it's probably just a little harder to build a company there, given that's what's happening. I think that's like a kind of thing people say to make it feel a little better. But I don't totally believe that. I think it's just the nature of the place. So I would say that's the downside of having so much. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's more like knifey or anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else? I've got one last question, but if you got anything, now's your time.
Go for it.
All right. So appreciate being on here.
Yeah, sure.
This is fun. This is really fun. I could go for much longer, and clearly you could too. The goal is for, founders, anyone in the tech scene who's like also curious around like, what is Boston lacking? What should we be doing better to be able to like listen for, I don't know, however long this was, 30, 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Who else do you think those people like want to listen to? Like, who should we go out asking in the Boston ecosystem to get on or outside of it?
Yeah.
Like, we'll get Paul Graham someday.
Yeah.
Yep. You call someone out, I get to tag them on LinkedIn or X. So
love it.
You buy a name. I love it. Who should we talk to?
You should talk to Ankit Gupta at YC.
Yeah.
He's a new partner there.
Awesome.
And then, people from YC I think would be great. Yeah. And then I think other founders who are sort of Silicon Valley pilled. It's great if they're from Boston, but they don't have to be.
Yeah.
Just so people learn.
Yeah.
Right. Like just learn more of how to be. Right. I would say that, especially around maybe like people who are closer to the seed stage to talk about fundraising.
Yeah.
Because like I'm dated. right? I'm 10 years dated.
Yeah.
But like just someone who helps explain some of that. Well, how practically, how did you do it?
Yeah.
How'd you get the meetings? How'd you do it? Like find a Boston entrepreneur who raised money in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And just have them on and explain it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I know I'm like a broken record on this, but I'm just like telling you, it's like 1,000 times easier. Why?
Get out of the city.
Yeah.
Go
Why?
do it.
Who cares?
Yeah.
The other thing I would say, just if I could pitch the real tech half of the house, I mentioned the robotics one. The other thing I think, and I mentioned some of the ed tech stuff, I think is cool. The other thing I think it's a very natural fit for Boston is consumer health.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing
like Whoop and
surely
others.
Whoop, absolutely.
Hospital systems and all the
literally the best hospitals in the world.
Yeah.
Like the world.
Absolutely.
Like the Saudi royal family flies here and gets their healthcare at MGH, right? Like this is like we are the best in the world. Okay, and so, but it's very establishment.
Yeah, it's like institutions.
Yeah, and so what's happening right now on the consumer health side is stuff like this is really being driven by the GLP-1s, which is the first real consumer biotech product.
Yeah.
So we have the first biotech company, Lilly, is now worth over $1 trillion. The first $1 trillion biotech company is Lilly. And that's because they are selling a consumer health product, not a drug, not a disease drug.
Yeah.
Okay, because the disease market's actually kind of small.
Yeah.
Right? How much of your life are you
diseased?
Sick? Yes. Most of your life you are not.
Yeah.
Okay, right? And so every day you spend money with Apple.
That was positive.
And like 1 week you go spend money with, And so as we move into consumer health and longevity and all these things, this is another place where I think like Boston should watch the like establishment vibes and like get over it.
Yeah.
Because we have all the advantages in the world to win that sector.
Yeah.
But right now it's sort of like, it all happens in California with like
Brian.
Brian. Okay, to be fair, I love Brian. Brian Johnson was our first investor out of YC.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so I'm a fan. I'm on I take his mix.
You'd be a fan even if you didn't.
I love him.
Okay.
I love Brian. But I would say the perception here, and by the way, Brian's a very serious person.
Yeah.
He's testing everything. Like I've seen his stuff. He's not like a clown. Okay. Right. Yep. And so, but it is, I think it's a culture mismatch with like the Boston healthcare scene around that stuff. And it should not be.
Yeah.
Actually, we should totally win that. I mean, big time. Right. Because again, this is like how people want to actually they want to like feel like it's coming from like people they trust. So like, why is there not an MGH longevity, whatever, right? Like incubator, like that kind of stuff would punch. Yeah. And so these are like these areas where I think we really do have like, we're best in the world education, we're best in the world in healthcare.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever the new techie stuff is in those sectors, here's obviously the place to start the companies. Yeah. Right? Like no brainer.
Yeah, and it fits well with like AI assistants everywhere that are now giving you your device. Like people are starting to take care of themselves.
There's a million. Right? There's a million roads.
A lot of tailwinds. There's a lot of tailwinds.
Bingo. Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see more of that. You know?
That's awesome. I mean, I think what I hear is we should get the tempo, we should get the ambition, borrow that, but there is plenty of things Boston's uniquely positioned to do. You gave us a bunch.
Yep.
With that, so happy you spent your time with us. I think the listeners and the people out there in the Boston tech scene that really care about this topic are going to be appreciative as well. Thank you for being so deeply committed to Boston. Warms my heart.
Same. Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys raising the topic. I think it's super important. So thanks for doing this.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah.